We see another dream. Nebuchadnezzar dreams about a tree that gets cut down and grows back. And he doesn't know what it means, so he calls in Daniel. And Daniel is hesitant to tell him what the interpretation of the dream is because it's not good news. Nebuchadnezzar said, "Go ahead, Daniel, tell me." Daniel said, "King, this tree represents you, and all the animals represents your great kingdom. But, King, because of your pride, you will be cut down. The tree is cut down, and for 7 times pass over it until it is restored. King, that means that you will be driven from your throne. You will become a wild animal until you can humble yourself before the God of heaven." Well, Nebuchadnezzar said, "Thank you," and went on and didn't change anything. God is merciful. Gave him 12 months, but he didn't change. So in that 12th month, as Nebuchadnezzar was walking on the streets of Babylon, looking at all that his hands had made, God struck him, took his mind away, and he lived in the field for the next 7 years. His fingernails grew, his hair grew, his kingdom was taken away from him until he humbled himself. And after 7 years, he was restored to the throne. And he issued an edict, a decree, an official document. And Daniel records it for us in Daniel chapter 4 and verse 37. Here's what Nebuchadnezzar says. "Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and extol and honor the King of heaven. Those that walk in pride, he is able to abase." Now here's the point. Our lives are for the glory of God as well. Our life is not about ourselves. 1 Corinthians 10:31 says, "Whether therefore you eat or drink or whatsoever you do all to the glory of God." Nebuchadnezzar learned that the hard way. We should live our lives in humility, reflecting the praise to God and all the glory. This song puts it this way. We should do all that we do for the sake of his name. the next chapter, chapter 5, and Nebuchadnezzar has passed off the scene. His grandson is now on the throne, and his grandson, his name is Belshazzar, obviously did not heed the edict of his grandfather because he didn't care about God Jehovah. He worshipped the gods of the Babylonians, and one night, with a drunken feast going on, he decided he would bring the sacred utensils that were taken from the temple in Jerusalem and brought to Babylon. He decided they would bring them out and toast the gods of the Babylonians with those sacred utensils. John MacArthur says, Belshazzar issued a challenge, and God took up that challenge. And God sent a man's hand to write on the wall. And as Belshazzar looked in horror, nobody could figure out what it meant. He brought in all the wise men. Nobody knew. Mene, mene, tekel, upharsin. And nobody knew. And so the queen said, no, there was a guy that your grandfather used to use named Daniel. He's retired, but why don't you go find him? So they brought Daniel in, and Belshazzar said, Daniel, if you can help me out here and tell me what this means, I'll give you like third place in the kingdom, and I'll give you all kinds of riches. Daniel said, keep your stuff, but I will tell you what it means. It means basically, your days are numbered. You have been weighed in the balance and found wanting. And your kingdom will be divided from you tonight. And sure enough, that night, the Medes and the Persians took over Babylon. Now you might say, wait a minute ago you said you can't take Babylon. Well, history tells us that what the Medes and the Persians did was they rerouted the Euphrates River. And the water level went down so much so that they were able to send men underneath the wall to go in and unlock the gates and take over great Babylon. And that night, Belshazzar was killed. Now, here's the point. God is holy. And you know that God commands us to be holy as well. 1 Peter 1:16, he says, be ye holy, for I am holy.